Title: One Light Studio Setup. Module: Studio Lighting Fundamentals. One of the biggest misconceptions in photography is that professional images require multiple lights. Many beginners believe they need an elaborate studio filled with expensive equipment before they can create beautiful photographs. In reality, some of the world's finest portraits and fine art figure studies have been created using only a single light. Learning to master one light is one of the most valuable skills a photographer can develop. A single light teaches you to understand direction, quality, contrast, and shadow. Once you can create compelling images with one light, adding additional lights becomes much easier because you already understand the foundation of lighting. Every one light setup begins with a key light. This is the primary source of illumination and the most important light in the photograph. It determines where the highlights fall, where the shadows appear, and how the viewer experiences the subject. A common starting position is to place the light approximately 45 degrees to one side of the subject and slightly above eye level. This angle creates natural-looking shadows while adding depth and dimension to the face and body. Instead of appearing flat, the figure begins to look sculptural, with gentle transitions between light and shadow. The height of the light also matters. When the light is positioned too low, shadows may rise upward across the face, producing an unnatural appearance. When the light is placed slightly above the subject, shadows fall downward in a way that resembles natural sunlight, creating a more pleasing and realistic effect. Distance is equally important. Moving the light closer makes it appear larger relative to the subject, producing softer and more flattering illumination. Skin tones become smoother, and shadows transition gradually from light to dark. Moving the light farther away creates harder light with stronger contrast. Details become more pronounced, and the image often feels more dramatic. Neither approach is better. The choice depends on the mood you wish to create. One light photography also teaches the importance of shadow control. Rather than trying to eliminate every shadow, learn to appreciate them. Shadows reveal shape, define muscles and curves, and add emotional depth to an image. In fine art figure photography, the balance between light and shadow is often what transforms a simple portrait into a work of art. Background selection also plays an important role. A light-colored background reflects some light back toward the subject, naturally softening shadows. A black background absorbs light, increasing contrast and allowing the illuminated figure to stand out dramatically. Simply changing the background can produce a completely different emotional atmosphere without moving the light. Reflectors can also be introduced without changing the one-light principle. A white reflector placed opposite the key light gently bounces light into the shadows, reducing contrast while preserving the natural appearance of the lighting. Since the reflector does not generate its own light, the setup is still considered a one-light arrangement. One-light setups encourage photographers to move around the subject. Instead of repositioning the light constantly, try changing your own camera angle. Walking a few steps to the left or right can dramatically alter how the light interacts with the body. You may discover entirely new compositions without touching the lighting equipment. One of the greatest advantages of a one-light setup is consistency. With only one primary light source, it becomes easier to predict how the photograph will look. This allows photographers to focus more on communication with the subject, composition, and artistic expression, rather than managing complex technical arrangements. Many famous portrait photographers intentionally limit themselves to one light during practice sessions. This discipline strengthens their understanding of light and prevents them from relying on additional equipment to solve compositional problems. Another valuable lesson is that one light often creates more natural-looking images than multiple lights. Since we experience most everyday scenes illuminated by a single dominant light source, the sun or a window, our eyes naturally recognize and appreciate this familiar pattern. As your confidence grows, you may eventually add a second or third light to achieve more specialized effects. But every advanced lighting setup still depends on the principles learned from a single key light. Master the first light, and the others become tools rather than necessities. Remember that great photography has never been measured by the number of lights in a studio. It has always been measured by the photographer's ability to use light with intention. A single light can reveal elegance. A single light can create mystery. A single light can sculpt the human form into something timeless. When you truly understand one light, you begin to understand photography itself. Because in the end, the most powerful studio is not the one with the most equipment. It is the one where every beam of light has a purpose,